Hello there, everybody. This is Ampillion, and I'm back finally. Whew, it's been a while, has it not? Been far too long. I will start off with apologizing for the was this about 2 month delay here on this episode? Ugh. So yeah, if you haven't been following any of the little channel comments I've left, between the health issues and the wonderful sudden loss of a video card, well, let's just say things have been really slow. And if you notice some bad cuts or just some sort of wonky editing with this particular episode, again, I apologize, but that's sadly the nature of the beast now that my computer is, oh, it was barely cutting it before, and now without a dedicated video card, everything is now, well, let's just say I can barely run my Chrome and do anything else on the side nowadays. Ugh. But we have a fortress to worry about, so let's get back to that. And you can see here I'm kind of clearing out. I often make my grave areas kind of a little bit more narrow, windy passageways. The tombs and stuff, I decorate out a bit better than that, but for just general grave sites, I like to kind of make little nooks and hallways like that. So I have the graveyard just below it, and then the tombs will go up in those branching pathways. And here's a bunch of recruits. I believe this is me showing, or well, I thought I was showing off uh, the list of the migrants that I just got in last time around that I just finished naming. And maybe I didn't. Yeah, I obviously didn't get this in the recording somewhere. I'm spaced off on that apparently, or I'm messing with something. Who knows? Anyway, we have a bunch of this stuff set up, and we've got the barracks started up right there. You just saw them. Farms are going now. Once I actually set them to plant, I guess I kind of forgot that at some point. Whoops. In fact, actually, I think I checked the food supply and said, wait a minute, why am I not planting anything? Oh, I didn't set them. Whoops. So yeah, make sure you come back in here and set. Of course, everybody usually has one farm just for plump helmets, but I also always have a secondary farm for all the other crops that I want to plant, because, hey, variety is pretty nice. Now, we've got a few other things to worry about. I do have a lot of rooms that need finished. You'll notice that a lot of those empty rooms have, well, no furnishings at all at the moment. And I think that's because primarily the last couple of episodes I've been having to deal with sudden moods creeping up, and while sure I'd like to get those rooms filled up, generally I'm trying to make sure I've got everything I need to get that mood taken care of. I don't want to lose dwarves, especially skilled dwarves, this early on to moods, of all things. So if you can prevent it, always make sure you take care of your dwarves. Now I'm just kind of watching them all shuffle around. I have gotten the workloads doled out nicely, so I was very happy when I discovered the job manager screen and being able to just type in things that I want built for, the entirety of the fortress can be taken care of with a few well-placed types. And, for whenever you forget exactly what something is named, you can go, rock, and just get a whole list of all the rock objects in the game. This is where as soon as you start to see these stray turkey hen gobbler messages, at least as far as this fortress is built, the season has passed and your stray poults have grown up, which is a great time and draws them ever closer to becoming food for the dwarf table. Unfortunately, I kind of did, a little bit of a snafu in the original draw up and didn't actually add the third room. I usually put a third opening so I can keep the adults, or the newly adult Oh, a mood. Another mood. Wonderful. And a Fey mood. I'm sure a lot of people who play, they know exactly what's going on here. The Fey mood's not the best of the moods because you gain no skill points after you complete them. Isn't that right? No, sorry, I'm dumb. That's possessions. Wah, wah. Fey moods are great, and they do good things for you. But again, like I said, I just got done with one mood, and now I'm already working on a second. It's I am still in the, and it's kind of the challenge of the early game, I guess, in Dwarf Fortress, is trying to balance out all those moods, because you always get a few. You always have some kind of request for something that you probably don't have yet, or at least have in a supply enough to take care of demands. So I kind of like, oh, hey, he needs body parts and rock. Okay. Well, apparently he wants rock bars and rocks and body parts. Well, I don't think I have any body parts handy, which is kind of odd. It's usually one of those things you tend to have a bunch of, or at least bones anyway. Shells used to be a big hang-up, but I'm like, you know what? I know I don't have any of those things currently, except for rock, which is everywhere. So I set right away to making blocks with some masons, which is another one of those things that I need to kind of iron out later on. I'll probably have to download what is that called? Dwarf Manager, which lets you kind of organize everybody's jobs on a handy chart. That way, you know, you kind of know what jobs you've got covered and what jobs you need. Because I have a bad habit of making all the masons also engravers, and when I start going around engraving everything, well, when this kind of stuff happens, I end up having no masons to do what I need done. So we'll get to it. We'll get everything ironed out eventually. And let me go back and talk about the little delay that I had. I'm not 100% sure on what this means for the future of the Fortress videos. I'm going to try and see if I can still actually record decently enough without too many hang-ups. Again, the computer is so wonky now with the built-on video card that it's I can't even play Minecraft, so there's not, or well, I can, but I mean it's so choppy. I might as well be trying to record it at the same time. But so right now, that's probably going to be backburnered for a while. I will probably stick to the Dwarf Fortress as best I can, and then we'll see if I can get any the NES or Super Nintendo emulators still recording well enough to use those. I'll probably do some more of those at some point. But for right now, I'm gonna put a kind of a halt on everything else. Like I said, the dwarf. I like to continue the Dwarf Fortress. I'm gonna see how recording goes after I get this video posted. We will figure out a good course of action to go, and hopefully we'll have some more interesting things for the next video, because right now it's pretty much taking care of things that I was working on prior, which is getting the barracks up and going and assigning the squad to it. I'm not exactly sure why I did this. I guess I forgot to hook. It is good to at least hook on and check out your pasture, because every time those migrant waves come in, they will always have some kind of stray animals that they bring along, and again, you want to put them to pasture or they will starve to death like morons. So I do actually finally get to work on the building structure that I need to set up for the adults. If you harvest any sort of fowl like this, in this sort of manner, the birds do take some time to mature after they've hit adulthood. You could butcher them right away, but they're not quite what we'd consider a very good food source until they get some fattening up time. So you do need to, I believe on the wiki it says about a year, although you can probably butcher them in about six to 8 months and be alright too if you really need the food source. But with a farm up and going now, we should be alright as far as that goes. So we can let them fatten up and then have ourselves a proper Thanksgiving, dwarf style. I do need to, like I said, need to get some more of these bedrooms finished. There is a decent amount of bedrooms actually. I just can't see it very well on the small editing screen now. Thank you, computer. I did come across a bit of a problem, however, when I, mined this out. Well, I guess it's a good problem. I struck some rare metals, and as much as I hate kind of like messing up the layout for a sort of a cave system, I couldn't leave gold just hanging out there in the walls. So I can always come back and build walls in if I really want to make something fancy. But for now, gold is much more important than a decorated tomb area. I also get the hospital set up, which is still entirely empty, sad to say. It's one of those things that I haven't had a terrible amount of experience with setting them up properly. I've gotten in every game that I've actually got them set up, I usually just get murdered by goblin armies soon afterwards anyway. So that's one of those things that I always just kind of slack off on because I have so much other stuff on the plate that I need to get to before the goblins should start showing up and ruining everything. I forgot why I'm assigning this guy to something. This is kind of the bad thing about recording this like 2 months ago and then coming back to finally finish editing it. I just kind of look at it and go, who am I looking for specifically to assign this to? I believe I had somebody that I made the manager. The manager had an office, I thought. I don't know. Oh, I believe I had a separate manager. I separated the manager and the bookkeeping job because I believe the bookkeeper was getting stuck in terrible loops of counting and not managing the job. So, since we got enough dwarves just laying around doing nothing, I just made somebody a manager so I can, have somebody dedicated to that job. And I'm sorting through the stockpiles of junk that our fortress has. I believe, I was looking for body parts, which, again, one of those things that has changed with a version. Hey, the construction is finished. It's one of those things that changed. It used to actually tell you the bones specifically, bones and skulls, and now it's all just body parts, which is a bit of a step back, I think. But anyway, we get the construction completed, and did I not? I swore I showed off the. Well, he made a granite piccolo, and glad I guess I cut out the wrong portion of the video. Well, he made a granite piccolo, and it is grand and wonderful, except for the fact that it's made out of rock and bone, so it's not very valuable. But he is, however, now a legendary stonecrafter, which is always nice. Making more beds. Yeah, I must have trimmed the wrong piece. I'm pretty sure I probably meant to cut this part out, but I just want to get something edited and put up, and I really just do not want to fight with Premiere anymore. Ugh. So, we've got the main hall set up finally. We've got a few. There it is. I'm stupid. Sorry. Just ignore me. He'd started the construction. He hadn't finished it yet. Again, very difficult when you've gone from having 2 monitors and a computer that was passable one smaller monitor and not being able to read all the cluttered editing software put in one box. So, wonderful, wonderful. I did actually show off the wonderful description of our granite piccolo. How awesome. We've got 2 artifacts now, neither of which are all that impressive, but well, we've still got some time to go. I'm sure we'll have another mood here within a month or so, and we'll have some other ridiculous object created in a matter of, well, hopefully it's not one of those demanding weird and rare objects that I don't have again. So you will notice that if you have hives up, your animals do get stung by bees, and it's I've read some mishaps with bees actually injuring things, but for the most part they are entirely harmless, and you just end up with a bunch of dead bees, which again, pretty useless. Rock mugs, on the other hand, are not mugs, jugs, are on the opposite side of the useless scale. They are very extremely useful in the fact that we don't have to constantly chop down trees to keep our food. What am I saying? Instead of having to cut down trees constantly to make barrels for food, we can actually use stone for food, which is always always in constant supply, and that is definitely a positive change for this game. And now one of the changes that I really, really would like to see in the game is this. No matter how many times I set these things, the archery targets, or even just putting them in the other room, crossbowmen just never seem to want to train, like, ever. And it's kind of infuriating, because I know in earlier versions they used to use them just fine, and I know some people have issue with it. Some people can get them to work just fine. I have not gotten them to work ever since these newer patch came out, or not patch, version. And mining more gold. We get this gold taken care of. I like I said, I actually kind of left some of this filler in for this episode because there was so much not filler, or not. I'm sorry, there was so much filler in this episode. Period. This 40-minute block of recording that I had was actually pretty dull. Outside of RLS Mecha's mood, nothing else really happened. So I didn't really want to just cut, everything out and just have a 5-minute, hey, we made a piccolo, thank you, video after, 2 months. So I'm just kind of showing off the fortress in its works. We are finally getting some of the other birds put into the 3rd area of the habitat. There's going to be some nesting boxes in there. You can always have those birds also nesting and laying eggs for you as well, but you really don't want to keep them as your main live offspring producers, at least not for the first year or 2. So I usually always just harvest just those eggs, and I'll leave the other eggs to be hatched. And I totally always forget to keep a handy stock of nest boxes, because they can be very useful. Especially if you're, doing this sort of poultry farming. And already, RLS Mecha is making masterpieces. This is a good thing. I'm sure it's probably something not really all that useful to us right now, but it's probably those nest boxes, in fact. Well, no, I just set them to go work. There's no way he could be done with them, or start on it. Maybe mugs, jugs. I think it was jugs. Oh well. There are masterpieces being made. So, alright. We are going to draw this to a close here shortly. I'm hoping I can get back into the flow of things. Again, health withstanding on that, I should at least be able to get one up a month. But don't hold me to that. So until the next video pops up, this on this channel, this has been Impillion. I hope you guys have a good one.